Trump has announced secondary sanctions on countries that buy Russian oil and gas, like he got into a big fight with India about that, eventually lowered and reduced them when India said it would stop doing it. But Hungary has all these explanations for why it can't wean itself off Russian oil and gas because of the way the pipelines are configured and the expense of plumbing in an alternative. So Trump has, as a personal favor to Orbán, it seems, has suspended the sanctions. And Rubio basically said, here, I'm going to quote some Rubio here from the questions later on, because he was asked, how would President Trump treat a successor to Orbán if he loses the election? And Rubio said, well, these sanctions waivers happened as much as anything else because of the relationship between the Prime Minister and the President.
The Times' Assistant US Editor David Charter is with us this evening on President's Day. Good evening, David.
Good afternoon from Washington, D.C.
What does
Happy
President...
Day.
Yes. How do you... Or how is this sort of marked? What does President's Day mean over there?
It's a public holiday over here, like a bank holiday. It's George Washington's birthday. So all federal workers and a lot of banks and schools are closed, and so a full-on bank holiday. Normally, it's marked by sales, so people go shopping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's certainly where my kids have gone anyway.
Well, it's good to see that very hard-working journalists are not taking a bank holiday, David Charter. We feel very lucky to have you with us. Thank you. There's plenty to cover, isn't there? Because while it's President's Day at home, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been in Budapest. He's been meeting with the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, declaring a golden age in bilateral relations.
We are entering this golden era of relations between our countries, and not simply because of the alignment of our people, but because of the relationship that you have with the President of the United States. I don't think it is any mystery, and should not be a mystery to anyone here, how the President feels about you, how he interacted with you in his first term as President, and now in his second term as President. That relationship's grown even closer. And it's important to understand how important the relations between leaders are to the relations between countries. At the end of the day, we are still human, we are still people, and that person-to-person connection that you've established with the President has made all the difference in the world in building this relationship and in hopefully growing this relationship even more.
Marco Rubio has almost been gushing the last few days, hasn't he? He was quite warm, although their stance hasn't changed, the US on NATO at the Munich Security Conference. He was warmer about Europe than he has been in the past, and I'd say very warm towards Viktor Orbán today, saying that Donald Trump's committed to the success of Viktor Orbán, the Hungarian Prime Minister, because his leadership is crucial for US national interests. What does he mean by that, David?
Well, the very clear subtext is that Hungary has a general election in April, and President Trump has already given his endorsement to Orbán's re-election in a post on Truth Social recently. And Rubio actually was quite surprising, went as far as to suggest that this was economically beneficial. It was in the financial interest, basically, of Hungarians to re-elect Orbán, because at the moment, Hungary is the biggest European purchaser of Russian oil and gas. Trump has announced secondary sanctions on countries that buy Russian oil and gas, like he got into a big fight with India about that, eventually lowered and reduced them when India said it would stop doing it. But Hungary has all these explanations for why it can't wean itself off Russian oil and gas because of the way the pipelines are configured and the expense of plumbing in an alternative. So Trump has, as a personal favor to Orbán, it seems, has suspended the sanctions. And Rubio basically said, here, I'm going to quote some Rubio here from the questions later on, because he was asked, how would President Trump treat a successor to Orbán if he loses the election? And Rubio said, well, these sanctions waivers happened as much as anything else because of the relationship between the Prime Minister and the President. The importance of that relationship to our bilateral relationship underpins the decision the
That is
President
almost
made.
blackmail, isn't it, for the Hungarian electorate?
Well, it's certainly a carrot, I would suggest.
Yes.
Not the first time that a lot of American money has been involved, of course, in an overseas election, because when President Trump supported Milei of Argentina, it was pretty clear that the permission to borrow a lot of money to help Argentina through a bit of a crisis seemed to be dependent on Milei getting re-elected, which he duly did. So it's becoming a bit of a theme.
Bit of an ammo. Let's go to Gavin Newsom and Ed Miliband. There's a great photo accompanying your piece, David Charter, up on thetimes.com of Miliband looking, well, kind of awkward in English and Newsom looking just ever the pro, a real sort of photo moment. They are shaking hands, and it's enraged Donald Trump. He's criticised Ed Miliband for signing a clean energy and climate pact with California, calling it the very worst thing the UK can do. He made the comments in an interview with Politico in which he said the UK's got enough trouble without getting involved with Gavin Newscum. That's his pet name for Gavin Newsom. Tell us a little bit more about this and whether Miliband has gone and ruined it all for us, David.
Well, what Gavin Newsom is busy doing in Europe, because he went to the Munich Security Conference like Rubio did as well, Newsom's message is that Trump's disdain for multilateral organizations and for climate change is temporary. And the proof of that is that California has been committed to fighting climate change for decades and is committed to doing it long into the future. It's a pretty safe, democratic state. And so any deals that are done directly with California, which, by the way, is the fourth largest economy in the world, or it would be if it was its own country, bigger than California's economy is bigger than Britain's, and it has a large and thriving market for climate measures, mitigation measures, which British companies can now. Well, I guess the idea is for Ed Miliband's deal, they can tap into that a bit more easily and share research and perhaps grow some jobs in the UK for sending things to California. And so this is underpinning Newsom's appeal, of course, to be the Democratic presidential candidate, possibly against Rubio, actually, in 2028. It's going to be, looks like on the Republican side, it's going to be Rubio or J.D. Vance, the vice president. They've got to come to some
thrash it out between themselves. Yes.
Yeah, and Trump is merrily set them up. Really, it's almost like a game show that he's set up between Rubio and Vance to choose the candidate.
I wouldn't rule out a real game show on it, David. I mean, that would give commissioners joy, wouldn't it, over on American TV networks? Okay. All right. So Trump giving the UK a hard time over this. You've explained the context of it. I mean, do we just merrily proceed regardless?
Yes, we do, because it's really the target of this is Newsom. It basically brings together two of Trump's favourite Aunt Sallies, which is Gavin Newsom and climate. We know his views on windmills. He thinks they're appalling, expensive, waste of time, and climate change or man-made climate change is a hoax. His views are pretty well established, and so it's really a reflexive action, I think, with Donald Trump to attack anything that's seemed to be throwing money at climate action. And Britain has had to put up with a lot of criticism for not, for example, exploiting North Sea oil more. That always comes up in Trump press conferences with Keir Starmer whenever they have a joint meeting and a press conference. I think the Brits now know and expect there's no meeting of minds on the approaches between Britain and the US to climate, whereas California, like Britain, has a net zero target. And again, coming back to Newsom's claim that Trump is temporary, and what's a lot of America, including California, are committed to clean energy.
Yeah. Let's just quickly discuss Iran talks that resume tomorrow. So this is high-ranking officials from the US and Iran will meet. This is round 2 of talks, isn't it, with both sides, I don't know, I mean, seemingly having slightly different agendas. Can we say that, David? Is that the nice way to put it?
Well, the shared agenda is probably not having a war. Although, again, we're not absolutely sure about that, because Trump is sending an awful lot of firepower to the region. He's got one aircraft carrier and its whole supporting group of battleships is already pretty close by. And another one he's ordered it on the way, the one that was in the Mediterranean that was putting pressure or supporting the Maduro operation in Venezuela. That's the second aircraft carrier group is on its way. So it's really a lot of military kit. And the feeling I'm getting in Washington is that it's getting more likely that Trump will stage a massive attack on the Iranian regime. Now, he hasn't finally decided to do this, and certainly publicly he's maintaining, he's keeping all his options open in public. He said on Friday that regime change might be the best outcome, but he's also said he hopes the talks are successful. So it's this mixture of keeping Iran guessing to try and get the best deal he possibly can in talks, whilst at the same time, Trump does not want interminable talks on this one. He's already got interminable talks in Ukraine, and he doesn't much like that, but there's nothing he can do about it. Whereas with Iran, he's got Israeli support for an attack.
Yeah,
we understand.
Yeah, the US are saying repeatedly that it is Iran holding up progress in this negotiation over the nuclear capabilities in Iran and what they're prepared to do and not do. And we should say that Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met with the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency today ahead of those talks, ahead of this second round of negotiations over Tehran's nuclear programme. So all context, we'll keep an eye on that tomorrow. I hope you don't mind me entering into a bit of crime, David, with you, but the search for Nancy Guthrie's entered its third week. It's captured America. I think it's safe to say it's intriguing for us here as well. The Today Show host Savannah Guthrie posted another video on social media yesterday saying her family is still hoping for her mum's return.
It's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken, and I just wanted to come on and say that we still have hope. We still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing.
Well, there has been some progress, according to the FBI. A glove found near Nancy Guthrie's home appears to match one worn by a suspect seen in her home doorbell camera footage. David, this is captivating America, isn't it? This story, and it continues.
I don't know what the coverage has been like in the UK, but it really is an obsession of the media in America. Turn on the TV without, or certainly a news channel without extensive coverage of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie disappearing on January the 31st. Some drops of her blood found in the front porch. Then a week later, this really spooky video of a masked man on the doorstep carrying a gun. They've now identified the type of backpack or that suspect was wearing as well. So apparently it's only sold at Walmart's, which doesn't narrow it down that much, but it
does something. Yeah.
Be another lead that they can follow up. So as you say, they've got a glove that may have been one of the gloves worn. They've got the type of backpack, but they haven't got a lot else publicly. And it seems that some sort of psychological profiling has gone on to deliver this message from her daughter, who's a well-known breakfast TV presenter here, saying it's never too late, you're not lost or alone, seems to be a human appeal to a whatever sensibility, what sounds like a kidnapping. Obviously still all very mysterious, but it does sound like kidnapping and appealing to the small part of the kidnapper that might want to deal.
Very briefly, we can't leave you without talking about Barack Obama. He stated to a podcast that aliens are real.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
Yeah, so shut down rumours that aliens are kept at Area 51, David, but it's quite an admission from Barack Obama. Just briefly to finish us off.
Right. So, in fact, this went absolutely nuts on social media, as you can imagine, that the former president said aliens are real. It didn't go any further than that. There was no further details given beyond what you've just heard. So he's actually put out a second statement on social media to clarify that he believed that aliens are real because statistically, the universe is so vast that there's probably some other life out there somewhere. But he's now saying, of course, the chances we've been visited by aliens is low.
So a little bit of backpedaling.
My presidency, so he's actually had to sort of climb down and try and close this thing down because it went absolutely viral, as you can imagine. This is what, I think Trump supporters as well were hoping that he'd go through the files and release some evidence of aliens, but he hasn't managed to do so either. So it has been quite a kerfuffle over here about it, but I don't know. I mean, I should say that in the atmosphere that we're in a very febrile atmosphere in America. Nobody knows what to believe anymore. So that's only added to
okay. Aliens, fine. All right. The Times assistant US editor David Charter. Thanks for running us through those stories, David. Great to see you. Thank you.